Get that Midwestern open there.
Network. What happened?
I said, get that Midwestern open there.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's funny because like I'm not even from the Midwest and I still say "ope." I don't know why.
Let me just scoot past you right there.
Okay. For anybody that's listening, welcome to the stream. I know that it's been active for like 54 seconds, but I'm nervous, so welcome to my stream. We're gonna play some Dungeons and Dragons. We're gonna wait like 5 more minutes to see if everyone's favorite half-orc comes. He's taking his half-orc mom, picking her up from the airport. She's not a half-orc, and I realized as soon as I said that sounds exceptionally rude, but we'll keep it in character. It'll be fun and feisty.
It's fine. We're actually our real life characters outside of all of this.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
I'm actually made of stone when I leave the screen.
I'm totally a gnome.
I am everything and nothing.
I've kidnapped 3 kids already.
Well,
wow.
There's
now we're coming out with the big hitters right off the bat, man.
I should call that one in.
We're gonna keep this stream professional. It'll be good. We'll be, and then first thing down. Oh, I kidnapped 3 kids today.
Well, we all have goals.
That's why I'm not pushed to talk. They're very loud.
What's very loud?
The kids.
The kids are very loud.
Ah,
I see.
The kids are very loud.
I was getting ready to like adjust my volumes. I thought you guys were very loud, and I was like, "Oh, I can crank it down. Don't even stress." But if anybody's listening, is the volume equalization okay between like my voice, the players' voices, and there may be some spooky sounds in the background? I don't know. I do know there are, but I'm not bringing them up because I don't want to get hit with copyright violations because I'm using spooky sounds. So this is my life.
I don't know if it's just me or if it's because of the way everything is set up, but it does seem like it's fairly quiet on the stream.
On the stream.
I don't know if anyone else is listening or not.
Let me... I'm going to mute myself and listen to the stream and see how it sounds.
Fairly quiet on the stream. I don't know if anyone else is listening or not.
Just occurred to me that muting my Discord microphone might not, in fact, mute my actual microphone. And so the stream gets to hear that twice. But it seems fine on my end. If anybody else can confirm whether or not it's quiet, let me know. Yeah. Unless there's issues. I'll wait another minute just to see. Before I kick this out of the park. With issues. So... Anyway, how is everybody today, this week? It's been 2 weeks since I left you with that last cliffhanger, because that's what I do best.
Of Giger getting shoved into a tree?
It's stapled, but yeah.
I don't know if I'd call that stapled. I'd call that impaled.
Well,
I would call that becoming one with a tree pretty solidly.
One with the tree. Okay.
I mean...
I'd call it a love tap.
Well... I think honestly, they all work. I just think you're having a great time, personally. I mean, unless you disagree, Giger, are you not enjoying being one with the trees?
Oh, I mean, you know, there is kind of like that loose definition of tree hugger, but I don't think that's it. I think there's
probably better ways to be that, I will say.
Yeah. We'll see, I guess.
We shall see. In theory, you don't even know.
I am so bracing for the pain. Just so bracing for it.
In true DM fashion, I'm double checking my deities just to make sure that I have everything that I need and just doing all kinds of stuff.
I'm eating ramen noodles, so...
There is no better way to live your life, honestly.
Right. Dannison, how'd your test go?
Yes. Do we have details?
We cannot hear you.
Yeah, you're muted, buddy. Which is fascinating, because you shouldn't be. This makes sense why you've been so quiet this whole time. You're not muted on Discord, from what I'm seeing.
Nope.
But you are awake, which is a start. Did your audio settings change? So apologies, technical difficulties.
Gremlins. Bird.
Now you're muted. Also, I just realized that I literally have like transition screens and I did not use them. So we'll just have to remember to do that. It's the same headset you normally use, right? Is it plugged in all the way? Odds are it is, but it's basics.
Anything?
Yeah, that worked
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, there you
Okay.
go. Was it not plugged in all the way?
It was plugged in all the way, but I don't know. It
Okay.
just hello.
Hello.
Sometimes the
So like this
battery
entire
goes off.
time I was not talking.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
this whole time. I was just like, it's okay. Dennison just feels quiet, and that's totally fine.
Jesus, no, it isn't. I'm made for streaming.
Listen, I'm not gonna tell you, but also I agree.
But to answer the question of CPA exam, I think it went well. There were a lot of things that I had to reason out, and I did reason them, so hopefully they were the correct reasons. And I'm really just gunning for a 75. So I find out in like a week and a half. So fingers crossed.
I believe. I'm just in you. I believe in you. It's gonna be great. You find out in a week?
November 9th.
November 9th. That's
So
2
like
weeks.
a week and a half.
That's like at least 4 days from now. Yeah, that's just under 2 weeks. So you'll know by not this next session, but the session after. Just hang in there, buddy. We believe in you.
My gosh, I hope so. Because I looked at my history of how I took this exam, and each test to take it costs $300 whopping dollars. And this was my 9th test to pass all 4 parts.
Oh, dang.
So,
Well,
I'd rather not add on to that.
yeah. Well, we're all
No
rooting for you.
kidding.
We believe in you. I'm sure it's fine. All
So.
the vibes.
Thanks.
So many
Other
vibes.
than that, I'm doing great. So excited that it's done with, at least for the time being, and I don't need to stress. And work has gone down, so I get to really be a part of the stream and just be happy me.
Just get to like relax for a
Happy
minute, take a
me
breath.
to you.
Exactly.
Percy over there doing their best Vogue impression. Good job. You got it, buddy.
Thank you.
Well, I think I'm going to kick us off a different way, just because we have people that are listening in that haven't been with the session for the past year. So let's just let's describe our characters. We'll go alphabetically. Ondo's not here. Ondo is a half orc with one eye, who is just a fantastic member of this team that would love to describe himself as this just steadfast, I'd imagine warrior type, very noble with a lot of back history. But they're not here, so I'll just say that they're half orc and they do their best every opportunity. Let's go Dow and then Dice and then Giger and Mithuyu.
I feel like human fighter is descriptive, but also not descriptive enough. Dao is a 17-year-old military boy who is on a new path. That's all I got.
Okay. Dice.
Hi, that's me. Hello. So Dice. Actually, I don't know how intense we going on this. Probably quick synopsis. All right. So Dice is
version.
is a cleric of the Lady of Fate, the Grey Lady, my lady. We love her. The Dice is a burial statue, or at least initially was. It used to look like a Buddhist monk, with the robes and whatnot. Made of granite, like 5'2", a very dense lad. And then met God like you do. And so now they kind of look like a battle warrior lady, very long hair. Dice likes halberds and isn't super smart, but tries their best. That's it. I speak in a funny accent.
It happens. It's D&D.
Yeah.
Giger.
Giger. Oh, that's me. So Giger is a 3'1", I believe he is. He's a gnome.
Mm-hmm.
He is riddled with strange, quirky behaviors. He will threaten to remove your spine and/or spleen. Yeah, just for fun. He currently serves a patron. He's a warlock, and his patron is of dubious intent, for sure. But he's hanging in there. He's trying to hang in there. Things might get spicy. Things are getting spicy. He may have taken a swing at his patron. He basically tried to smack his boss. I mean, that's essentially. But yeah, he's from the military. He's not in the military anymore, and he's a little cranky sometimes until he gets a donut or a bagel, even. So.
Mafuyu?
Yeah, so Mafuyu is a dainty little girl. Well, yeah, recently turned 18. She is a bard, and she is also the youngest of 5 sisters. Lost her parents, very tragic, at a young age, and kind of was sold to a geisha house where up until recently she became free and decided to kind of explore the world and try and gain her sister's freedom as well. So that's kind of her backstory, but she's also half fox, so she is of the Henge yokai. Essentially, she can turn into a fox, yet she still hasn't. She just recently got her ears and her tail, and she's super cute about it. And yeah, she's not your typical barge, so she has her moments. She's kind of airheaded, and she really likes food. And her excuse or her reasoning for people being mean to her is that they are hungry. I think that pretty much sums her up.
That's pretty close to it, I would say. Yeah. Well, we do have a tradition here on our D&D campaign. Dice has always done our recaps. And so Dice, we'll just do the last session, and then I think we'll do a pre-recorded thing that has the session. Like, I think I'm gonna break it up like every 5 sessions and do a description of like what happened at each little chunk, and we'll have to do 7 of them. But so for those that haven't been listening, what happened last time?
Is it my turn? Do I get to go?
It's your turn.
I get so excited to narrate all of these, and I get very loud, so I apologize beforehand. Okay, so we started off session 34 with one of Dice's memories that they had from the previous session 33, and then 34. Yeah, we know the thing. We know how to count. So Dice has a memory of being in this body that they have been in before, because Dice has had several lives. They're the latest iteration of this soul's lives, of a guy named Jiroku, which is the Japanese word for 16. Thank you for that, Kyle. And so he used to be a Jade Guard member, and he was the one that was sent to Rattenwick to eliminate something that was a threat to the Jade Guard. And so when Dice is having this memory, he's standing on the side of the mountain and watches a Jade Guard member come out of the steam stone mountain through the steam vent, and then watches 4 strange creatures that he has not seen before, but what Dice knows as Karukins, bird people, essentially carrying one of their dead. And slightly later, the rest of Dice's adventuring party kind of like wanders out, so Dice is looking. Dice is having this strange moment where they're looking in on a previous version of themselves on the latest version of themselves, and it's just kind of an odd little thing to mentally flip through. So we're at camp. We're on our way back to Azerat after having saved Fune from the Jade Guard and blowing up everything and whatnot. And so we have a first watch. And so Fiona's doing fine. She's in shock because oh boy, did she take a hit. And that's an understatement. She's okay. And Giger kind of hears some. Oh yeah, so it's Giger, Dice, and Mafuyu on this first watch. So Giger hears some dogs out in the distance, but nothing super intense. Dice kind of panics and is like, I don't know, think about this in the vision. And Giger's like, you know what? Just calm down a little bit. It'll be fine. And no matter what, they're probably long gone, or at least they're still around. We can deal with that. It's gonna be all right. The party will probably have company later, potentially. And so Giger tells Dice about having sucked a man into the ground via Zothgug, his deity, and he's a little bit frightened by the fact he was able to do that. And Dice is like, do you think maybe it's because you were able to use some of that power? And he's like, Zothgug doesn't think I'm anything. I'm just a little cog in this big machine that I have, and I don't even know what I'm doing there. And Dice is like, why do you think it's okay why do you think it's okay for you to be treated like this, still like a slave? That doesn't seem like a cool thing to feel all the time. He's like, I have penance that I have to repay, and Dice doesn't know why he has to have penance, and he doesn't know when feeling's gonna stop for him. So Dice asks their lady why their soul is doing this funky thing where there seems to be 2 of them. Is there 2 of them at once? Are they separate souls? Are they the same soul? What's going on with that? Jiroku will have to die at some point because Dice exist, and the cycle must continue. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't exist at the same time. Just that one has to die definitely before the other. And so that's going to be a weird thing that I'm still going to struggle with, and our lovely DM's going to have to keep clarifying for me, because that's just how it is. So as Dice is communing with the lady and doing all these different things, they make very clear and sure that Giger can see everything that Dice is doing, because Dice is like, I want you to convert, sir. and so how it was described, it's like Giger is looking at a bit in a naughty movie that they're not supposed to see, like kind of like half covering their face, and so he kind of zones out for a second, but then Zothgug is like right there. He's like, you do not have what Dice has with the lady, and if you were to have what Dice has with the lady, you would have had it already. That's not you, and that's never going to be you. So Fiona wakes up for a bit. In the meantime, Fiona wakes up for a bit and sees Mafuyu there, and Mafuyu can hear the conversation that they have with Giger, or that Dice has with Giger. Scatterbrained, I'm so sorry. Anyways, so Giger has a special journal. He opens up the journal. It is blank again. Anything that he had written in it is gone again. So we write something new, not that any of us know. And so we move on to second watch. And so it's Dice and Mafuyu. Mafuyu is like, hey Dice, thanks for like bringing back my sister. That's really cool of you. And so Dice is like, that was kind of cool, but not. Don't even worry about it. Your sister. Everyone has a thread about here that ties them to the lady. It's the thread of fate, and Fiona is a little afraid now that that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just is, and her fate's going to be different now. It's not the same as it was before. But Mafuyu's like, you know what? That's fine, because Dice has had similar experiences with fate suddenly taking a 180 on them, and Dice went to the party and everything's been fine and dandy, and that's just how it is. And so they talk for a bit, and Dice is like, I kind of want you to teach me how to dance, because I am clumsy as all get out, and I I would appreciate it. And so Mifuyu's just elated. And so, she starts planning like, oh yeah, then Ando's gonna like come over here and like lift up Giger like Swan's leg, and it's gonna get the whole thing. And so she starts to dance, and it's kind of like the embodiment of reunion after a lot of pain, and family, and bringing things together. And it's modeled after the Autumn Fire show in Rattenwig. And so as she's dancing, there's light that comes out of her hands that Dice notices, and it's very subtle. Not a lot happens. Something's changed, but Dice isn't quite sure what it is. So yeah, then it ends up just being Dice on third watch. And she tries to stay awake the best she can, but falls asleep. And Dice gives her good head pats, but nothing really happens. And so eventually, everyone wakes up. Or I guess Ando wakes up and starts preparing breakfast. Fuyune comes over and sits pretty quiet for a while, and so Fuyu wakes up and she's like, "Hey, what's up? You're awake. Everything's gonna be fine, I promise." And so we all decide that we're gonna continue heading on to Azerat, not trying to go back and try to see where Drogu or this Jade Guard member is, because the dog fighting noises from the first watch are kind of in the same direction. So we're like, all right, we'll just keep going, and it'll probably be fine. Dice sends a message to Drogu being like, "Hey, yo, it's Dice. I think you're me. There's a Jade Guard member that got out. Where are you? I think I saw you watching my party." No one responds, which, makes sense. Yeah, so we're heading down to Azeroth. And so as we're walking, Ando kind of takes point because he's our super dope ranger. And he kind of sees these tracks that kind of go off, and so he follows them, and he sees a bunch of dead wolves just on the ground, and they have very clean cuts, and they died of those very clean cuts, and whatever was there and killed them got out very quickly, and probably before sunrise even occurred. So we all kind of had a conversation like, should we follow it? Should we not? We decided it was probably not the best idea that we followed whatever killed a bunch of wolves, effective immediately. So we're like, all right, we'll just keep going to Azeroth. So yeah, we passed by a campsite of people who have died. Several people three of the four have died. They're originally there. And so Dice kind of like says a few words, and Mufuyu kind of explains to Fuyune, who's new to all this. I'm like, that's kind of Dice's thing. That's like normal for them. And so quote, because Fuyune asks, what everyone else's weird things are. And so quote, Ando smokes funny things. Giger's angry all the time because he's hungry. Dao gets himself into trouble, but also gets himself out of it. And Mifuyu's not quite sure where she fits in. And so, yeah, so it gets pretty late. And so we all decide to take some exhaustion in order to get to Azeroth by like 2 a.m. And so we get to Azeroth. And so we get to Adler Belloc's house, the place where Fuyune had previously been kept as a slave and probably horribly mistreated, and none of us have the foresight to the fact that she might have an issue with this, having not known the state of Adler Belloc or his home. And so she sees the Adler Belloc home, and she freaks out, rightfully so. And she even kind of distrusts Mifuyu for a little bit. She's like, hey, no, not going in there. And so Giger's like, hey, the dude's dead. He's dead for his crimes. We took his house. Don't even worry about it. And that doesn't really fix a whole lot. So Dice is like, hey, you've got options. You can stay at like 3 different places. We'll even pay for it if you want to. You can go wherever you want. You don't have to stay here. And so that seems to calm her down a bit. So she comes inside with us. Dice has no inside voice. And so just like an obnoxiously awake all the time because Dice doesn't sleep. And so, honey, I'm home, just kind of like walks into the house, and so wakes up Satsuka and Aoi that are both in there. And so Satsuka's like, and so she wakes up, she's a mess, and so she gets everything ready. And so Fuyune and Mifuyu have a nice moment together, kind of like kids again, brushing out their hair and going to sleep. Mifuyu kind of realizes how much this is like changed and stressed out Fuyune. And so, and then we get to the big scary drama of this whole session. So Giger and Anga, they sleep in the previous murder torture basement. Not anymore. The blood's cleaned out, so progress. That's good. And so Giger journal's still empty. It's like, what the heck even? And so Giger sleeps and is back again in the same place that he always is when he has creepy dreams. There's a field. There's woods. The woods are on fire. Everything is spooky. and so he can feel kind of Zothkuk behind him. He's never really seen Zothkuk's face before. And walks over to him with, quote, a claw and a wet smack. Thank you, DM, for that app description. I hate it. It's awful. and so Giger feels this thing in his throat that he can't quite get out, and because kind of Zothkuk's kind of like got him by the head like this, and so kind of vaguely similar to Ando, who had spit up this whole length of like grudge hair in previous sessions, which I still hate. Thank you. And so Giger tries to like scooch out from underneath Zothkuk. Doesn't happen, and so Zothkuk's like, choices. You're a slave. He always says very truncated words, but he gets his point across. And so Giger's smaller version of his pack weapon, which is called the Racer, shows up, and Zothkuk's like, prove sacrifice. And so Giger has a moment. He thinks for a bit, and so this little gnome decides to reach around and try to stab Zothkuk with his pack weapon. I've never been so proud in my entire life. And so sees Zothkuk behind him. He's like a weird elk man with like he has like an inverted human torso, and his head's dark pit and 2 glowing red eyes. And there's like, I guess there's another torso underneath that torso. Zothkuk's geometry doesn't have to make sense. But he's got some hands and like these antlers that reach out for like several meters, like he's a big lad. And so Giger's lifted up to Zothkuk's like base pit, I suppose, and gets shoved in there. And so, Zothkuk takes a stroll, and then Giger feels sudden burning in his belly, and he realizes, oh, I've been impaled by a tree. And so the last thing we hear from Zothkuk is one more chance, and that is it.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna pick up in that moment with Zothkuk. So you had made the decision to attack him, like reaching back as you were knelt down in this position, intended to perform some kind of a sacrifice. You weren't sure quite what you needed to do there, but you decided to like reach back and try to stab at him, and he grabs you and spins you around and then just pushes you against this tree, and you watch as it just buckles through your chest.
100% certain that he meant I should kill myself. I am almost positive when he brought that down and said sacrifice, he wanted me, because every other time I've seen him, he's pushed me down into spikes or otherwise marred me or killed me. Pretty sure he wanted me to do it for him this time.
We may never know.
We may never know, because I decided to,
Yeah, you made decisions.
I made decisions.
You made a choice. And so I'd like to imagine that as you sit there, attach this log, like you look down and then look back up, and Zothkuk is nowhere to be seen. You're alone in this expanse of a clearing, looking at this flat hilltop that you've seen a number of times before. The trees around you are casting this reddish red glow from the flames, and you feel that fire burning against your back as it just clears this tree. You sit there, just sagging on the weight of your own self against this branch, feeling this fire burning at your back for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, feeling the tree that you're on like kind of like burn out and turn into this charred husk as 10 minutes turns into an hour, turns into several hours, and you watch the sun rise, and you're just left to bake upon this tree in this dream state that you aren't sure how to escape. Is there anything you'd like to do or say in this moment before I just continue on? You've got like 6 hours to interact with.
Man, I think throughout the time, first of all, try and see the surroundings. I know there were like carved stone. Was it carved stone or carved wood pillars with runes on them?
Mm-hmm.
In some of my, are those any closer? Am I able to make any of those out or see anything?
It's kind of an uncomfortable thing because you're directly above some of them. They form this ring around the clearing. So to be clear, the clearing has like a flat hilltop on top that descends down into this circle of trees with these runed pillars all around the periphery. Each one of them has, I forget the name of the actual rune, but it's like an inverted, I think it's the Othala. which you've seen before, and it's carved into your back multiple times. You are closer. You're directly above one, about 15 to 20 feet up in the air. And there's some that are embedded in the ground, like going along that periphery. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. And Zothkug is nowhere to be seen.
Not right now.
I think for a long time, Giger would just be silent. He would kind of take in the events. Obviously, he's in a lot of pain and he can't figure out how to get down. Does it appear that he can slide himself off of the branch that he is impaled on?
I would say that it's certainly possible if you'd like to try. It's not a smooth branch, so you'll have that to do.
Right.
But...
Is it, you said it's like 15, 20 feet up?
Yeah.
How far is it through? Like how much is protruding in front of me?
You got about a foot.
Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is, first things first, after having thought about it for a while, I think Giger will call out to Zothkug in his in his best way, and as much as you can call out when you're impaled on a tree, self-censored. So Giger is going to call out, you say serve, but you don't tell me where. You don't give me orders. You don't give me freedom. You said power to save my life, and then you took all of the other lives around me. Where am I to go? How am I to serve someone who does not care for me? And then after he says that, he is going to put his, or as best he can, try and arch his back a little bit, put his legs against the tree, and try and shove off.
Constitution saving throw. Started off right.
Constitution saving throw. Is the server up yet?
Yeah, it is. Go ahead and refresh that bad boy.
Let me try.
So
maybe it's just angry with me. It's the same one, right?
Yeah. Should be.
Same one it's always been? Same place it's always been? Same bat time, same bat channel? Let me just try the link. Let me see if this...
Same bat.
There it goes. I just had to do a thing. Sorry.
That happens.
All right. It's doing a thing.
Now you're in.
It's thinking. I am still getting used to the new speed of my internet and still deeply unsatisfied. All right, there we go. Constitution saving throw. Saving throw.
Okay. With a 22, you put your elbows back and try to lift your legs forward for just a moment before kicking off and pushing yourself several inches along the length of this, just feeling this rough bark just scrape at you, leaving this smear behind. And I apologize, this is a very graphic scene. Great way to start the session off. Do you just keep doing this until you're free?
Yeah, the goal was to try and push off in one swoop. Like he's gonna give it all he's got against that tree and just use his legs to basically push himself forward.
Well, I will say it will take more than one attempt to get completely off the branch.
Okay.
With that 22, I'm not going to make you roll a different one every time. You push yourself off and fall 20 feet. Let's roll some damage and see how that goes. Yeah, that checks out. Let's, for the sake of brevity, I'd like a dexterity saving throw just to catch yourself as you land at disadvantage because you have a gaping hole in your chest. Okay, with a 19. Great rolls today, for once.
I know, right?
You land on your legs, as you would like to, taking 18 points of bludgeoning damage out of the get-go. Let's do... I guess I didn't make you roll damage for the actual thing. Let's roll some damage there. I will also make you take an additional 10 damage from the just initial blast of tree to your chest, the nice stick that you've been wearing for the past few hours.
Yikes.
You are on the ground as you feel your legs snap. You are able to move. What would you like to do? Where would you like to go?
I'm going to go ahead and go towards the circle in the middle.
You spend the better part of 30 minutes crawling, walking, just pulling yourself along in this space that you've never really had a chance to explore. Make your way up this hill and find yourself on a large, flat, round disc of what looks to be some kind of ancient stone. It looks like there is some kind of an item in the very center of it. You're not quite sure what it is, but it looks slightly grabbable.
Last time it was a chain with a spiky shackle, so we'll see what it is this time, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and crawl towards that and see what it is.
You move forward, leaving this trail of blood behind you, and find what appears to be the hilt of a very familiar sword stuck into the ground in the very, very center of this massive disc.
I'm assuming the razor.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's your pack weapon.
Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and grab the hilt.
Okay. You reach down and grab the hilt. One hand, two hands? How are we doing?
One hand.
Okay. You grab the hilt with one hand. What do?
Pull it back.
Okay. You go to pull and feel it give for just a second and then catch. And feel a hand on your shoulder. A very familiar one. And hear the word purpose in your ear. And in that flash, you are back, impaled upon a tree, in the same place you were looking at the sword that you just attempted to pull out, 60 yards away, right back where you started. It's early morning now.
See any blue butterflies, do I?
Make a perception check. With a 20, you do not. These rolls, my guy.
I know.
With the 20, you do not. What you do notice is that around this area, because this is, I've described it already, it's a clearing with a set of trees. You're not quite sure how far back that goes, but there seems to be a barely noticeable shimmering cylinder that seems to go up as far as you can see. That it's just one of those things. Have you seen like in movies when there's like a cloaking device active?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
that kind of just barely there shimmer. And with that perception, you notice that not only are you in like a self-contained area, but this is a literal contained area is what you get the sense of.
So I think Giger will call out, "So I am to free you. Is that it? Is that my purpose? To unleash you?"
You receive no answer.
Well, I'm definitely not trying to get off that tree again.
You can. I'm not sure what will happen. Different things could happen depending on what you do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't know what to do in these moments, it's totally fine.
Yeah, I am really stumped, honestly.
You endure, and you sit in this state, feeling the weight of your body like sagging against this branch as you watch the sun pass overhead and sink. Just thinking, enduring, hearing these words that have been spoken to you playing over and over in your head. Just purpose, sacrifice, what your patron has told you to do. Watch the sun rise again and set again, and rise again and set again, and feel just your life slipping away. I mean, you have been at this point impaled on this branch for 3 days, slowly bleeding out, and it is about at this point that you lose consciousness. When you wake up, you don't have any marks of what you've endured. You find yourself soaked in sweat in your cot in the lower levels of your party's house. This open notebook that you'd been writing in before you went to sleep is just open on the bed, like face down. But you feel alone for the first time in a long time. Just truly alone. With that, it is morning. If anyone has anything that they would like to do this morning, I would love to know, and we can get that kicked off. Otherwise, Giger, if you have something that you'd like to do as you wake up, I'd be more than happy to deal with that.
I think Giger is going to grab that book, open it in front of him, sit in the corner in front of it, and just kind of meditate on it. And then ask very quietly, "What are you?"
How are you meditating on this? I'm curious, like, what your headspace is, what your mindset is, like, what specifically are you doing? Because there's a number of things that you could be doing as you meditate.
In the Giger thoughts, so as Giger is hanging, the main thing that he has concluded is that Zothkug offered him power. He offered him power to defeat his enemies, to do what he wanted to do with the world, be a powerful and basically ultimately victorious soldier. But as he has used Zothkug's power and shared in that, and then also dealt with some of the more interesting aspects of his communication style, let's say. Zothkug's management style is a little rough.
Well, yeah.
So he has come to the conclusion that power without being able to have a self-determination is not power, it is a prison. So he now looks at Zothkug and the Razor as a prison. He understands, or in his understanding, he is now in a situation much like he was in the sense when we were in that we were just there, and I can't remember the name of the city. The Karukan city.
Yeah.
Umnis, thank you. When we were in Umnis, where he feels that he's trapped, and now he is very quietly probing ways that he thinks he can try and escape from this prison. So he realizes that this book has appeared. He realizes that he doesn't know where it came from, and that there is obviously something different about the book, because every time he's written in it, it's disappeared. So obviously it's something, but he doesn't quite know what it is. So he is going to just kind of stand and try and figure out, is this a way out? Is this a key? Is this some kind of thing that he can latch to in order to better position himself against Zothkug almost? He's not openly at war with Zothkug at this point, but he is probing ways to try and get away from or escape, I guess is the best way to put it. So
part of what I'm getting out of this is just perspective. Like your perception of Zothkug has changed. You're trying to find ways to break free of those bonds.
Yes. And also kind of thirsting for that knowledge. Like he sees this book and he wonders where it came from, what it means. You know, there's a bit of that in there as well, but mostly it's could this be a way to remove myself from these bonds? Is there a way to not get impaled every time I fall asleep?
It's interesting, this book, as you meditate and focus on these thoughts, these worries, these ideas, because as you start to meditate upon this book, you see what looks like a fluid, just gorgeous handwriting start writing itself, starting with the words "flames in the darkness." And as you read what is written before you, you hear, or rather read, a third-person account of everything that just happened, which culminates in your patron taking every step behind you took that first time that you made your way to the circle, with a chain around its neck connected to the underside of that weapon stuck in the ground. It goes on to detail the passing of time from hours to days to months in that space before you were freed to fading into darkness. You have about 10 minutes after you read this that the text remains before it fades away.
Dang. I think what I'll do is, as I still have it with the handwriting in it, I will go upstairs and kind of try and see if I can corner Dice real quick.
Okay.
While I still have the handwriting in there.
Okay. Yeah, we can try that.
Dice is even awake. Well, Dice never sleeps. So
Dice never sleeps.
Never sleep. I'm just around.
There's a lot of factors here. So as you get up and start moving out your way, you end up having to push past a couple people that are now like working their way through the house. You haven't seen them before. You're not quite sure what they're doing there, but they're in the basement. They're carrying like wood and stuff. If you'd like to stop one of them, you can, but they're going back and forth at this point. If you're on your way continuing to Dice, you're not going to bother him?
No, I'm going to let him continue to work.
I kind of figured. You make your way up the stairs. Dice, where would you be at this point? You slept in the garden, yeah? I think we lost Dice for a second.
We got a frozen.
Uh-oh. This is the second technical glitch. There we go. There you go.
Oh, there we go.
Maybe?
Oh, no.
There you go. Okay,
Oh.
I hear you now.
Audio.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I guess it depends on how early is it in the morning.
I'd say probably, given you guys that arrived at like 2 a.m., you're probably looking at about 10 right now. Just to avoid the effects of exhaustion, unless you prefer to wake up sooner and retain those.
I think Dice would be in the garden, but kind of wrapping up what they were doing. Dice likes to, because it's like open to the moon and whatever, Dice likes to practice their meditation and rituals with the lady there, and so they're kind of like wrapping up their things and putting stuff away before they head to the kitchen, because Dice was planning on talking to Satsuka when they had the time. So
you, I would imagine, are like wrapping up your things and about to start heading that way into the kitchen when you see Eager like push his way out of the doors that lead out into the garden, seemingly in a huge hurry, and Eager, take over.
well, good morning.
Look at this.
I don't usually see you so chipper.
I need you to see this. You need to read what I have in my hands. I don't know how long it'll be there. And he'll turn the book around and kind of present it to Dice.
Dice will pick it up and try to read through it as fast as they can.
What language?
Not knowing what any of this is. Dice speaks so many. weirdly enough. I know that they speak Common and I think Dwarvish and yeah, Abyssal, Celestial, Common, and Dwarvish.
This is Celestial. And you start reading this.
Celestial.
Get the first few lines before it starts to rapidly fade away, detailing the fire and the darkness and the outline of these trees, and this lone figure huddled and afraid with this massive entity behind them. And that's about as far as you're able to get.
I vaguely knows what Geeker streams are like, at least a little bit. Geeker did you didn't write this, but this is about you, isn't it?
Yes, I was taken in my dream. He hung me on a tree for 3 days. He told me to sacrifice, provided me a knife, and I swung at him. I was a fool. I hung for several days before I died, and when I came to, I was in my cot with no signs of damage. But I remember the pain. This book, I asked it what it is, and this text appeared. It detailed all of the events, all of them, not from my perspective though, and then it disappeared.
Why don't you come out here with me for a bit, and we'll talk a bit more. And Dice will kind of, because I think the garden that Dice usually sits in is like in the middle of the house, if I'm not mistaken. So Dice is gonna like usher Gear like outdoors.
Okay, there is a garden in the middle of the house. I thought that you were using the outdoor garden for more of your meditation. We can absolutely pull your sleeping area to the middle one. There's like this small, it's like 15 by 15 one inside. You guys make your way outside, and an interesting point of note here, Giger has gray hairs in his beard that seem kind of new, just a couple. But you guys make your way out into this garden, feeling the cold, brisk air of this autumnal morning. The sun is up now at this point, trying to start to burn off a little bit of the morning mist. But you have the scene for yourselves.
Giger, you know this was written in Celestial, right? I know we were trying to figure out who or what gave it to you.
I noticed.
You don't suppose your deity writes in Celestial, does he?
I don't believe my deity writes on anything but flesh and blood. He kind of gestures to his back.
Yeah, I had a bit of a feeling. What do you want to do about it? I feel like that I keep on trying to convince you to do, and in the end it's not really my opinion who and what you follow, so I'll just ask before I start telling. What do you want to do?
I don't know where this book came from. It appeared in my bag. I opened it, and this is the first thing that it's shown me. And it's in Celestial, which is definitely not my deity. But it's communication that doesn't involve being impaled on a tree or imprisoned. Zothkuk does not intend for me to be free. I will never pay my penance to him. I am nothing to him. But I have found a group that makes me believe that perhaps I am worthy of that penance. and I think this book may help me, but I don't know how.
Right.
Maybe you can do one of your things, your magic ritual. See if you can suss out who it comes from. You've done things like that before, I believe.
Okay, I've certainly tried. Sure, I can do that. So Dice will take the book, and kind of lay out their accoutrement again. Put the book down, light their incense around it. Put Dice's figure of themselves, or I guess what they used to look like, on top of the book. And the tone of it, and kind of in the middle of matching the tone and humming and doing this, that, and the other, and kind of, the incense kind of starts to sway about them as Dice kind of like moves back and forth, and it's not quite perceivable, but starts mumbling in between the humming, and they're talking to the lady the best they can, and starts meditating on what this book is, and if it's connected to lady. Lady, I know you are everywhere and with everybody, and we are all influenced by you, and you are in every part of all of our lives. But lady, I would like to know if you were trying to reach out to Giger in particular because of his connection to his deity, and it would make me so happy if you were doing so, in order for him to find some closure and some course correction to his own fate. Anything. Were you the one that sent him this book and writing to him?
Make a religion check.
Oh boy, is this like a regular religion check, or is this a Dice and the Lady religion check?
Let's do a religion check. Just a regular one.
Okay. Can I slap guidance onto this?
Would you like to cast a spell?
I
mean, if you're adding a spell to this, then sure. But you would have to physically cast a spell in the middle of your prayer to do so.
No, I won't do that.
Okay. With a 22. I don't know how you guys are getting these rolls.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's
For the audience that's new here, Dice is very dumb and terrible at religion checks historically. This is a good day.
I cannot express to everyone listening that has not seen us play before. Our rolls are awful.
Usually we don't get higher than a 15.
Check this again. Next time it's going to be 2s all the way, baby.
With a 22, I will tell you a couple of things. First things first, regarding Giger and your lady, there is nothing. Mm-hmm. This book, this entity, is not of your lady.
Okay.
But what strikes you as odd is the presence that has always been around Giger is gone. And what's left is just what feels like a husk. It's almost like, when you pick up an ear of corn and there's that crinkle to it?
Mm-hmm.
The corn's just gone. That's Giger right now. The presence of his patron that has always been looming over him is not there.
What do I do with this?
I don't know. Let's give you a second. Dannison, Mifuyu, I'm kind of curious how your morning is starting.
Um,
You'd likely
I like
wake
to
up with Fuyune.
imagine. Yeah, I'd like to imagine we're both sprawled across the bed, intertwined essentially, or not like intertwined, but like my arm is like stretched all over her face. Her leg is like shoving my bottom portion of my body off the bed, kind of just exhausted, tired, sprawled out. We're sleeping next to our sister, so it's like there's not that awkward sense of like I'm sharing a bed with a complete stranger. I'm gonna try and keep to myself. It's just like here's my body. So it's kind of just that's how it is. So we're kind of waking up, trying like pushing each other, shoving each other to get the most space, pulling the blanket, because it's like we imagine like a chilly morning type of thing.
I like that, and I like to imagine that there's like this moment of just familiarity, because you guys have spent a lot of time apart, and especially with the last session, like how much has been taken from Fuyune and like your guys' relationship. For a moment, everything is as it used to be. Before the Moonlight Express, before everything, it's just okay. And you guys are having this moment, just waking up, like nothing in the world is wrong. It's about this time you hear like Satsuka's like downstairs, like saying something as hurriedly as she possibly can. You hear like downstairs somewhere there's like boots moving back and forth. You're not quite sure what the situation is there, but for this moment, you have your sister, the one thing that you've been searching for this whole time, and that's enough. This is like the one happy part of this whole campaign. I believe we also have an Ondo with us now, who snuck in.
I snuck in the back.
Yeah, you did.
I love that hat. What an aesthetic you have going on right now.
Thank you. There is a story behind this hat. I will share it. I guess at
Word.
the end of the stream.
That's beautiful. I'd like to imagine that like after like 10-15 minutes that you two are finally up and are able to like make your way downstairs. And we'll open the scene here with Ondo. You do not wake up quite as well. I mean, Giger woke up not quite as nicely as you're going to wake up. But as you come to, you hear people going back and forth, like across the front door of your rooms, carrying like boards and woods and accoutrement of work. It's like 9:30, 10 o'clock. You've gotten 8 hours of sleep. You and I both know that's not enough after a long march. How do you start your day?
Oh, I'm gonna start my day reaching over to my side from. I think I might have pulled something when I had to grab onto that ledge back in the mountain. So I'm gonna start waking up a little slow on his herd today. But he gets up and hanging out in the caves or in the basement reminds me of life in the caves and seeing everyone working, going about their business. I see cohesiveness. I see that this is a group of people who go into places and help fix things, and that reminds me a lot of my old clan. So I think today, seeing how much these workers are putting into making our basement nicer, I think I'm going to be a little introspective as I, go upstairs and peacefully make my way into the back of the garden.
Okay. Mifuyu, what's your first stop after leaving your room?
I would probably head down to the kitchen because I'd like to get some snacks.
Yeah, you do. Do you bring Fuyune or invite Fuyune with you?
Yes.
Okay.
Just because of the fact that, one, she's probably still unsure about the house, even though she did decide to. Don't want to leave her alone.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'd like to imagine that you like make your way down the stairs on the side and like make your way around the kitchen, and you see these people going back and forth. They look like some kind of working group. You're not quite sure. You haven't gotten the lowdown on that quite yet. But you like push open the doors to the dining room, like sliding them to the side, and stepping in. You hear the sound of like pots going back and forth, just banging every now and then, clinking together, and see Satsuka like bandana around her head, like cooking breakfast. And she's got like a whole plate of like meats and stuff and breads that's ready to go. It looks like she hasn't had to cook this much in a while, and so she's definitely gone overboard. And she sees you enter, and she says, "Oh, hi. Good morning. I hope you slept great. I'm sorry about the workers. I didn't have a chance to let them know that if they needed to take the morning off, they could. I hope that's fine. I realize they probably woke you up. That's really inconvenient, and I apologize for that. We can deal with that, and I make sure that they won't be there tomorrow. Or if you want them tomorrow, they can be there tomorrow, but it's completely up to you. So anyway, hi. How are you? I have bread and meat. Do you need anything?"
Good morning. I think you'd like to get some food. Was there anything that you needed help with?
No, I'm just finishing up here, and then I'll move everything to the table, or you can take what you want, and your house, you do you. But I'm just going to finish up here and then make sure that the workers are good to go. They're working on the basement for the renovations. We talked about you wanted the renovations done, so I did that and made that be a thing. And it's all good. That's all going. So, how are you? You're good. Did you sleep okay?
We did. The room was very nice, and I'm gonna kind of look over to Fiyune and say, "We slept well."
Fiona's like buffering.
And I think we're just gonna say, yeah. So I think we'll just take a seat and have some of the delicious breakfast you guys prepared. Thank you very much.
She says, "Well, it's my pleasure and my job. So here you go." And she hands you like a plate that she like makes up really quickly of like a couple of meats and some pastries. And then she like shows you back to the dining room so she can finish cooking. And you guys get to share this small meal. It's just the two of you. And I think I'll pull up the map of the house because I have not done that yet.
For some reason, my lizard brain thought you were going to say the map of the pastries, and I was so excited.
I'll show you the full 3D view of the pastries.
Yes.
Welcome to the party house. So there are windows in the dining room that would look out into the garden. And Ondo, you kind of enter the scene in the garden, hearing this slight commotion in the kitchen. To whereupon I will reopen the scene to Giger and Dice to kind of decide what to do with this change in circumstances.
But I like to think shortly after Dice figures out all this information, like Dice just feels so much like empathy in heart for I don't know. I think Dice has pretty good insight and probably can see how panicked Giger is about it, or at least spooked. And like senses that he's alone. There's no deity. He's just alone. And so Dice is kind of like still on their knees, and so Dice is gonna like turn around and like take Giger by both of his shoulders and like Giger can fight Dice if he wants to, but Dice is just gonna put their foreheads together and lean in. Giger, I know you feel very alone right now, but I need you to know that you are not alone, and you ain't never been alone. You have me, and you have all of us. And like I've said before, everything feels like it's changing all the time. But some things are still the same, and they're still going to be the same, no matter what. And right now, that's you, that's me, that's Bafuyu and Ando and Dao and everybody in there. We are here, and we're the same, and we will always be here. You ain't ever alone. And you got so much power just being you. It don't matter if Zothcook's there or not. I don't know. I think you'd be fine. Just on your lonesome, you're pretty great without him. All the things I love about you have nothing to do with him. You've got us. And then just kind of stays there for a bit and tries to like calmly breathe with Giger. If that makes any sense, it's a thing I've done with other people. Just like deep breaths in and out to see if the other person kind of like catches the drift and breathes in and out calmly to calm down and ground themselves and whatnot.
I think Giger will kind of sit quiet. He'll be introspective for a little bit. And he'll do his like, well then, the issue is, what is this book and how can I use it? I take it it's not from your lady.
Dice will separate themselves. No, it ain't from the lady. From what I saw, I don't really know who it's from though, because I don't see nobody around you, and it ain't from her. So maybe someone new. Been talking to anybody recently?
Yes, I had a discussion with Zothku that ended with me being impaled on a tree for several days. That is the most of my conversations.
All right. We already been about that. I meant somebody. You know what? That was a stupid question.
I asked the book what it was and why. I suppose why. And it wrote down a third-person description of my torture. As though if I were to have called out to it, it could have heard me.
Maybe it's whoever's in charge is Zothkug. He seems like there's something bigger than he is. And maybe that's who it is?
If only I knew. He'll stare down at the book for a second. Who are you? See, nothing.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Do you know Celestial?
I can understand all languages, but I don't think I speak Celestial. Nope, I speak Common and Gnomish.
Do you mind if I try? Do you mind if I try pin something down? I can write in Celestial. For some reason, I wake up and I know things. I don't know much else about it.
Be my guest. It hasn't been a working issue for me, but
okay.
He hands over this book, and it's. I'm assuming you hand over the book.
I'm actually Giger's kind of getting a little Gollumish about the book. He because it's not lost on him that Zothkug isn't there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming, at least, because in my mind he would know that very, very, very well.
Oh yeah.
And so this book represents something, and so he doesn't have the army anymore, and he doesn't have Zothkug anymore, and now he has this new unit that he has to protect. So maybe this book can help. Mm-hmm. So now it's instead of fully handing over the book, he will turn it around in his hand, but he will keep his hand on the spine and supporting it. He's not going to fully let go of it now. So you can touch it, you can interact with it, but his hand is not leaving that book, and if it does, you will probably get Eldritch blasted.
You know, Dice has been smacked upside the head before by Giger, so what's new? So Dice is gonna, I guess, take whatever pen that Giger uses for this book, whatever. I assume he writes with something or other.
Yeah.
And starts writing in Celestial. Hi, my name is Dice. Are you here to help Giger? ? Please respond.
It's interesting because the book. First of all, no, it does not respond. It doesn't. It neither speaks nor writes back to you.
That's sad.
But it's cold.
The book is cold?
Mm-hmm. The book is cold. It's one of those things like you can get close to the book and you feel just an aura of not like, it's not freezing. It's just like, you know, when you like get close, like you open the refrigerator door and you get that little blast of just like cool air. It's like that when you get close to it. It's just cold.
What? Does the writing disappear real quick?
No.
Does it stick?
Yeah,
Okay,
it stays there. You have now defaced his book.
I have. Dice is gonna keep going.
Oh, jeez.
Dice is not a quitter. And Giger has no idea what this is.
Well,
Please help my friend. I would appreciate it a lot. Please be nice to him. He deserves it. Period. Heart.
it's an interesting thing, Giger. You can read any language, can't you? You have no idea what this says.
I think I killed him.
What?
You have no idea what this says. It looks like an oddly written chicken scratch, but it is not any language that you know. I know what you have. It is not any language that you know. You are unable to read this.
Huh?
Not
Yeah. All right. Well, dang.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is this like proper Celestial, or does Dice just think they're writing it Celestial?
Oh, you're writing
I feel
in
like there's a
Celestial.
Okay, like the big, like squirrely, curly cute.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks nice.
Okay.
It's like formal
Okay.
Celestial that you're writing in.
Okay.
Ando, seeing this happening, actually, we'll get to you in just a second. Dow, I'm sorry, I've been neglecting you this whole session. I am really curious as to how your morning you'd like to imagine is going.
So as we've all established, Dow sleeps in the library.
Mm-hmm.
And last night he did not sleep, but if anyone were to enter the library, they would see just pages torn out of books, and they would see that note that his father left him, Kyle, up on the wall in charcoal.
Mm-hmm.
As he has spent the night trying to piece together everything he can. And it doesn't look chaotic. Like, it looks very controlled, as though he meticulously was going through each book he thought might relate to it,
Mm-hmm.
and was going, oh, well, this will go up here on the wall. I will connect this to the thought there. And that's what he's been doing all night.
Okay. I actually really, really like that, and I have the wonderful visual of I don't remember what show it's from, but the meme with the
Always
guy
Sunny meme.
yeah, with the guy with all the
Sylvia!
things on the wall. Yeah. You don't sleep.
No.
Okay.
No, and he keeps bothering our poor house servant for coffee,
Oh
or
my
whatever
gosh.
she can get.
You will take a point of
So
exhaustion.
Red Bull.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So I think that puts you at 2. So remember that. Because you
I
had the
think I'm only
march
at
you had the
1.
march there, which you weren't present last
Gotcha.
session, but that is a thing. So you'd have 2.
Cool. That's fine.
Yeah, totally fine, just so you're aware.
That's what coffee's for.
Yeah. Do you need another copy of what your father sent you? I can get a new
Yes.
copy if you need. Okay. Let me look that up real quick, and I will grab that for you. I just want to make sure that you have that because it's been a minute. You know what I mean? Boom. That was a lot easier. Hold on. This body's lettered it out. Okay. Sorry, I just want to make sure I had the right letter. I'd hate to send you the wrong letter right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be really fun. That is the letter from your father. You like. I'd like to imagine that about 8 o'clock is when you get to the point of exhaustion that you're no longer thinking straight, and so like you've done like meticulously like put up these thumbnails and there's like thumbtacks, and I'm like imagining this whole thing that's just like red yarn like going here to here, just connecting all these little points and stuff, just trying to piece together this mystery. And there's a couple of them on there that don't quite make as much sense, but like it could be, but like you were really tired when you put them up there. And about this time, like Satsuka like comes in and she's like, "Hey, I know you're busy with that. I just want to let you know there's food downstairs. I cooked it myself. There's breads, meats."
Okay, bring it up here.
Can do. I will bring it up here. I will be right back. Your friends are awake. If you'd like to talk to them. Nope, you
They
don't
know
want
where
to.
I'm at.
I will bring it up here for you. And she like zoots as she does. Arriving like 5 minutes later with like a plate of food for you. She's like, "Hey, if you need anything, you know where
The
I
chair,
am."
set it and go.
Cool. See ya.
Without even turning to look at her.
Just like sets it down and just like zoots. And you spend your morning piecing this together. Ando, as you arrive on this scene, you see this like exchange, and you can't quite make out what's being said because I'd imagine they're having this conversation in confidence unless they'd like to negate that. But you see Giger and Dice having this very private exchange about you're not sure what, but it seems quiet and perhaps a little tense.
I think upon seeing Giger's reaction to not recognizing the writing, Giger, I imagine that, a possible look of confusion came about. And I'd like to take that as an entrance. Dice, Giger, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I know that's a magical item. Is everything okay? I mean, you both look a little startled.
You're just fine. Come. And then Dice will kind of like gesture for Ando to get on the ground with them because they're still like kneeling.
Get down.
Dice goes in for the bear hug. It's been a stressful morning already, and it ain't even noon. And Dice kind of like looks to Giger, like can I not talk? The book is special. It ain't from the lady or nothing, which is something or other, which is I suppose new to me. But I don't know where it comes from, and it don't talk back to me yet, which I'm surprised by because I feel like I'm pretty personable to talk to, but I guess I don't want to. But I don't know what to do about it, and I don't think Giger does either. But so we're just gonna wait and see, I reckon. Good morning. I hope you slept well.
It went as well as it could. No. Still hurting from our time up in the mountain. But I'm alive. Thanks to you all.
It's no problem. This is no problem at all. And Dice is kind of like, just like buries himself.
I'll reach into my chest. I'll say, Giger, wise no one once told me. I'm going to pull out a little bit of the yellow book, reveal that I've been holding onto my person. Say a wise gnome once told me to be careful about books. I'm just gonna slide it back.
The whole party just simultaneously like, huh.
Giger's chuckling. I believe it's a little too late for that now. We haven't died yet. We're safe. It's just a bunker that evidently is full of chicken scratch now. Is that what Celestial looks like?
Hey, chicken scratch, I'm writing in proper celestial. And kind of like points onto it. See, I could write in celestial, see?
Ando, can you read Celestial?
Well, no, but let me ask you this. Would I have seen any within the Book of Demonology, the Ritual book, or the Abomination and Monsters book?
See, the problem is, well, I'll give you the answer. The answer is no. And the reason for that is because Celestial deals with the old gods.
Okay. Yeah. Then, no, I don't recognize it. No, I don't know. That just looks like scratching to me.
Just like visibly upset because they're like, it looks beautiful, but no one else thinks it looks beautiful.
Well, I mean, I guess if you tilt your head a little bit. Maybe this way.
All right, it's fine. I guess I write in chicken scratch. What are we supposed to be doing while we're here?
As a party,
Well, I was.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like, this is stressful morning. I have to like compartmentalize it and move on because this problem's not going to get dealt with right now.
Oh, okay.
What am I going to do about Philbin? Yexum? I just... Do I have to stay here? Is it probably better if I stay here? Oh my god. And Dice kind of like looks down at themselves. I look different now. I forgot about that.
That's the thing we'd have to explain.
I mean, I can say that I met God. That ain't a lie, is it? I met the lady. I ain't got nothing with everybody else.
It's hard. I think if we let on too much, it would be easy for him to send a second party up.
What if he knows about the guard already?
I think it's a fair assumption. But from what I saw, sure, could have doubled back, but the guard I saw running was going, I believe, east.
Giger, you're good at talking to folks. What do I say? What should I say? You got a story?
I don't know if I'm good at talking. We're talking at. Be direct, get to the point with them. Don't beat around the bush. Be confident in what you're asking.
All right. Well,
Let me ask you this: would he send us up there, knowing there was a machine?
I don't think so. I've seen to the soul of Yexum, and he's an honest man.
Remember, like I said before, you don't have to surrender information that you don't need to.
feel like everything's important though, because because if you don't know if I gotta tell you everything about if you know about the one thing, because then you know everything about the one thing I'm talking about. You know.
Did you not practice a story as I told you in the caves?
Shoot, I should have. I forgot. I got busy walking. No, it wasn't work. I got busy.
How about this? We found some sort of contraption. It was destroyed by the time we got there. No, that doesn't make sense. Sorry. The roof caved in. We got in. And it was very unstable in there. And we had to get out before we were collapsed upon. And as to make up for the time, because we have to have an alibi for a few days. I guess so we could say we were camping.
Okay,
We
alright.
were sent up to survey the mountain. We went to the mountain. We found an outpost of some sort. It had an earthquake. Everything collapsed. We ran out. And after that, there were no more earthquakes. As simple as that. The mountain isn't active. There's no lava or smoke. We left and came back here.
Alright.
It's like,
Alright, so he sent us up into the mountains. We went into the mountain and we barely saw nothing. And then the mountain done collapsed because there was an earthquake. Cause there's always earthquakes around that time in day. And so we were there, and then we went, and then we ain't, and it all fell apart. But the important thing is that there ain't no lava, there ain't no smoke, which means it ain't volcanic. We did our job correctly, and then we went camping afterwards. And somewhere in between, I met the lady, and now I look like a woman.
You had a spiritual experience. He doesn't need to know where it took place.
I suppose you're right about that. I guess we'll figure that out later. We should just find the other two and see what we're doing. He's probably hungry.
I could eat.
All right. Dice kind of like quickly puts together their stuff and like snuffs out the incense and does this, that, and the other, and like gets scooting.
You all kind of like gather your things together, like picking up this like makeshift ceremonial space that you've created, and head your way inside and join Mafuyu in the dining room. And you see that she and Fuyune are kind of like snacking. I'd imagine like Mafuyu's kind of going to town a little bit harder than Fuyune is. She's being a bit lighter, but she's definitely eaten her share. And you see like Satsuka's like just put down another plate of food and like gone back to like make more just in case anybody, like heaven forbid, anybody needs more food. But you are with your companions. If someone would like to look for Dao, they can. But first thing that was mentioned was the kitchen.
That's a good look for Dao.
Okay.
While they talk.
I mean, would the Dice have an idea of where to find Dao, or would you decide to do an investigation check and see how successful you are?
Dice understands that for some reason Dao likes to sleep in the library, even though books give Dice a headache, but I guess it doesn't give Dao a headache, so that's probably where he is.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if that's Dice's inclination, you like slide open the door and you see that.
No,
like...
really, Satsuka, I'm fine. Thank you. Bye. Oh, Dice, what's up?
We're all eating downstairs.
Take a look at
Dice,
this.
like,
Dice, take a look. What do you see?
Oh, slides the door down.
No. That's
what
a
do you
terrible
mean?
question. Dice, what don't you see?
Okay, and Dice will observe the wealth of information I'm sure is scrawled all over this library now. I guess what does Dice see? What is this mess?
What is this mess?
You'll see a note that starts with my precious Tao, and there's 2 paragraphs, and then you'll see just and that's scribbled in charcoal, and then you see just lines of that connected to different books as there's different words in this note, and Tao's just kind of staring at it like, yeah, I'm getting there. Like, I'm not there, but like we're almost there.
Would you like me to post the note for her to read, or for everyone to read?
Yeah, it's fine. Everyone
Okay.
can read the note.
Okay, let me get a solid copy, and I'll put it in the main Discord chat.
That note there, Dice, is the legacy of my past, of my, well, deceased, my late father. You remember the corpse? And I don't know, he left some sort of riddle, and I'm attempting to decipher it so that I can move on from that section of my life.
Here, let me just take a look at what you got.
Here, I'll read it to you.
Oh, all right.
My precious Tao, I know deep down that you think of me as a failure. He was right on the money with that. And I know I've caused you such grief for abandoning my post. I won't ask you for your forgiveness, though I hope one day I can have it just the same. I hope one day you'll understand that I did what I did to follow what I knew in my heart to be true and just. This world will live and it's full of lies and deceits. There's more going on behind the scenes than I could have ever imagined, and once I got through that first glimpse, I couldn't turn back. At any cost, I have to put an end to our mistakes. Tao, we have to make things right. Soldiers have traced me from the capital wherever I've gone. I had to leave information I've learned in a safe place. If you could be a good man, I know you to be. I'm sure you'll be able to find my notes. When your weary feet find a place to rest, ask about the red lark on the mountain. It will lead you to what I sought. So I've researched just about every mountain I can think of.
Tao, if I ain't an intelligent being, but if it were my guess, So we went into the Steamstone Mountain, right, to see if it was volcanic or not. And
Yes.
I think you said something about seeing a symbol that your daddy had on the wall or something.
See, I thought about that. I really thought about that, Dice. I think we would have found yet another clue before we skedaddled on out of there. I think
All right.
that might have been something, but I don't think that was the thing.
Oh. Have you slept?
Why would I do that? That's a waste of time. These
I
deep
missed whatever
bags.
conversation that was.
Why would I sleep? Captain, you of all people are asking me why you sleep. What happens when you sleep, Captain? Terrible, terrible things. Why would I sleep? This is important.
You have a valid point.
Tao, I might have a suggestion here. The red lark on the mountain, you figured out what that was?
No, I have not.
I mean, we met all the bird folk down there. They're pretty lark-like, and I think there's a few red ones. So maybe that's what it was. I mean, that's the only red bird I've seen in the mountains, and that's the mountain we went to. And it seems like your daddy was connected with at least the guard. So maybe that's.
So we should go back to the mountains
I
and
don't
sift
know.
through the rubble. Find something else, yes?
I'm not sure if that's the greatest idea right here, right now, but I reckon we could explore that option.
The red lark. On the mountain. See, it says on the mountain, though, not under the mountain. I feel like the wording's very particular.
I'd
I
like
feel
to.
like-
Can I open the door at this point, seeing Dice and Giger coming in the room?
If you guys would like to join, that's totally fine.
Yes.
Okay.
And I would follow with food in my mouth.
I'm sure Mafuyu would also know a plate of untouched food that Satsuka brought probably 20 minutes ago, just sitting on a chair.
And she's going to walk over and just kind of peek at it and start picking at it.
That makes only the most sense. Hey, Dad. You asked me what I didn't see on the wall, right?
Yes. What don't you see?
Well, I see a lot of book writing from other people, and I see the one note your father left you, and maybe it's less about what the textbooks got to say about it, and more about what you remember, and maybe your family. Memory and feeling. I mean, that's more what I deal in is memory and feeling. But that's what I don't see. I mean, he was your father,
Yes.
but you don't have a lot about him on here.
I didn't really know him, Dice. I saw him around when I was a very, very young child, and then there was probably about 10 years of a gap there, and then I saw his dead body and this note.
Well, what about your mama or their mamas and papas? Any of them? Who took care of you? You wouldn't have been running around by yourself.
I mostly was. My father was stripped of his rank. My mother passed away from a very unfortunate illness, and I mostly took care of myself.
So you got no family?
None living.
And Mafuyu interject. While she is eating the snacks and she's kind of walking around just looking at things. And you said the note is on the wall.
Yeah, it's scribbled up there in charcoal.
Is there anything from looking at it that sticks out to Mafuyu?
Make an investigation check. Or I'll let you do history.
We'll do...
With a 16. Let me take a second peek here and see what we pull out from this. I mean, a lot of it deals with what his father believes to have done. And he's not clear on that at all. You know, or it can be assumed that whatever Dao is looking for, it's not in the capital. There's a chance that there's some kind of a hidden key in here. It could relate to a building, a place that they had some kind of memory in, or just the only place his father may have had. I mean, you've been on the run before, so you know what that's like. Sometimes you don't get to choose where things go, but
okay. And like, there's nothing like in terms of the way the words are written, like anything that's older than another word.
No, I don't believe so. And Dao, if I'm understanding correctly, you've rewritten the note, correct? Or
Yes.
Is that the original?
Okay.
He has the original on him. So it would be, he's rewritten the note in charcoal up there and then pinned the original to the wall under it.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
It seems
so
like
the original note is there for anyone to look at.
It seems like it would have been written rather hurriedly on old or like lower quality parchment, I will say.
Okay.
But as far as like the first letter of every like other word is capitalized and it says like Homer, I'm safe, it's nothing like that. But there may or may not absolutely be some kind of a riddle involved. Yeah, go ahead.
Dice is gonna kind of like shuffle off to the kind of offset to the corner a little bit, and Dice is gonna send a message to Tika Ani.
What do you say?
I get 25 words. Okay. I hope you're doing well with them earthquakes. Have you met anyone from upstairs before we came down? Did he look like Dow at all?
You send this message, and not only does it not get a response,
Oh shit.
it does not make it to Tika Ani.
Dice is going to send a message to Ipaki.
Okay. That's another spell slot.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
Is everyone all right down there? The last earthquake was real bad. I was wondering if y'all were safe. Tika Ani didn't respond to my message.
Sorry, I've got to calculate words and letters. You get back a confused response. And she says, Dice? Hello, this is odd. The last earthquake took much from our people, but we rebuild in time, as the lady wishes. I hope you're well, and that's where it cuts off.
And Dice kind of like looks at the ceiling, like not having explained to anyone what the message is. Like, oh my god, they're alive. Oh my god. All right. Okay.
So,
I have 3 spell slots for this. Dice is gonna send the last one. Is Tika Ani alive? Did someone from upstairs come to Omnis? And did they look like Dow at all? It's been a burden on his soul.
sorry, again, I have to calculate.
Yeah, I get it.
Gosh.
This
So
sucks.
sad.
You do get a response. She says,
Awesome.
Tika Ani has joined the ancestors.
Shit.
Other than those who returned, none have rejoined our people. Now we look forward to our next chief and what? And it cuts off.
Okay. Okay.
25 words is a pain when they don't know how to use magic.
Yeah, that's fine. Not like Dice understands the whole 25 word thing, but okay.
It's 3 slots.
Yep. They're gone. Goodbye. No third levels. Okay.
I was wondering how long it'd take you guys to figure out that little tidbit.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Okay. Dow, first of all, I'm incredibly worried about you. I think you need a nap and maybe eat something. And
No,
I know
it's
you want
fine. I have food over on the chair. Without
Sir, I
even
know-
looking.
I know you want to keep working on this, but at the rate you're going, I don't think it's going to do any good dead. Because you can't live, you ain't sleeping, you ain't eating. I can do that, but you can't.
I can do it. If
No, you can't.
get out of my way, I will continue to do this until it's solved. I understand that you're recollecting more of your past and who you used to be and who you're going to be or whatever it is you're going through. I'm not. This is it. This is all I have. This is all I'll have for a very long time. So until we make any sort of headway on this, I am devoting as much of my waking time as I can. And you guys do not have to worry yourselves about me. I do not need to burden you, but I need something from this.
Dow, if you die, then no one's going to figure this out.
Well, if I die, maybe I can ask my dead father.
Hey, have you, I'm going to interject, just based on the screaming, if that's appropriate.
You're good.
Okay. Just, hey, have you, I'm going to point to a line. Have you asked anyone in town? Artemis?
I asked Artemis once, and he had no answers. I also asked another barkeep, one who told us about the adventure up north. He also did not have any answers.
Where would your feet find a place to rest, if not at home?
I don't know if it's our old house. I mean, it's a place we could always check, but it's been ages since anyone's inhabited it.
Maybe good to go on a little getaway after we talk to Feldman. I don't know if we'll want to be around after that for any more questions.
Yes. Let's plan a visit sometime. Dice, I'm sorry I yelled. If you'll all excuse me, I'm going to go get some bacon and some fresh air.
Don't you worry about it.
And you all call me the cranky one.
That's because usually you are the cranky one, but now we have two cranky ones is what it's turned out to be.
At least he's going to eat,
At least he's going to eat.
so maybe he won't be as angry anymore.
Giger.
I don't know about that one.
As Dow kind of like pushes past you all to leave, Giger, you look down. And it's like the oddest thing. Like, I'd like to imagine you keep your fingernails like decently trimmed, especially like with ex-military. They're like 3/4 of an inch out right now off the nub. It's like a thing that you like you don't even realize it until you realize it. Your beard seems just a little bit longer than it usually is. Feels and hangs a little bit heavier. Dow, I'm curious, do you actually go to get food, or where do you go?
He'll stop by the kitchen.
Yeah, you stop by the kitchen, Satsuka's there.
No.
You like walk in and she like full on just jumps, not expecting you to leave.
He'll just wave to Satsuka, grab some food out of the pan she's cooking it in, and then head into town.
Okay. Where are you heading?
He's gonna head to that inn, the one where they got the information up north, and ask around again.
Okay. Um, for inns, you have the Adventurers Hall and the Wanderers Respite.
Wanderer's Respite,
Okay.
I believe.
This early, you push through the doors, and I've described this a long time ago. But in Azerat, kind of towards the southern end of the city, there's a more ramshackle part of town where this inn sits, and it's run by a larger, like broad half orc named Charlie. And you push open the doors, and there's a couple patrons. It's early in the morning, like it's about let's say probably 11 o'clock at this point. So you're not quite the lunch rush quite yet, but there's a couple people filtering in and out. And Charlie's at the counter, just like getting things ready for lunch. You see, he's been like cooking things and preparing some glasses and that for when the time comes that things get heavy. He says, "Welcome back. It's been quite a while. I trust your journey was fruitful."
Not as fruitful as I would have liked it to be. Can I have you look at something? And he'll look down, realizing he doesn't have the note on him. Do you have any paper?
I'm sure I could scrounge some up. Yeah, give me just a second. And he disappears, like pushes past this curtain that separates what you'd imagine is like the back end of the inn, where he has a small room from the front. Comes back a little bit later with some old parchment. Something you needed?
And I don't think it's unreasonable to assume that Dao has memorized the last sentence or so of this with how much he stared at it.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll write down when your weary feet find a place to rest, ask about the red lark on the mountain. It will lead you to what I sought. Do you recognize this?
You see
this verbiage?
Charlie kind of like looks down and just does one of those things where like he purses his lip just a little bit and does a bit of a nod, which is I've had my eye on you for quite a while. I just chews his lip a little bit. I wasn't sure if perhaps I pegged you wrong. May I ask how you came by this message here?
My father's dead body.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that, son, but give me just a second. And he kind of like does a nod and like one of those slow turns and disappears back in the back again. And he comes back with a small bundle. And I need just a moment to pull up what all is in that bundle, because it's been a hot minute. He has, it's kind of like a long bundle, about 40 to 50 inches long, that's wrapped in like a very fine cloth with like a folded note on top. And he says, a while back I made a pretty good friend, entrusted me with this, and I think it's time I passed it down to you. And he hands it over.
I will grab it.
Okay.
I will thank him. You know where to find me if anything else comes up?
I can reach out to Artemis. We're pretty close. I apologize if it's been any inconvenience with the delay. As you can imagine, I want to make sure I had the right person.
Oh, he'll wave his hand like, no need for apologies. I have a thing I need. It's fine. And with the confidence of someone who hasn't slept in 48 hours, he will walk home.
Okay. You make your way home, bundle in hand. It's about 10, 15 pounds, I'd say.
And he will find the quietest room in the house where no one would expect him to be, and he will open it.
I'd like to imagine that you go into the closet where you have traumatized a small child, because nobody would think to go in there unless you think differently. That's the first place I would think that would be quiet.
No, that sounds like a great place to go.
That sounds like a great place. You all know what happened. For those that don't know what happened, they put the son of the prior occupant in here and then transformed himself into his mother and said, "You'll be fine." And just like locked him in there in the dark, with
Okay.
just nothing. It's a great.
They is a very damning word, and you're not naming names, but it wasn't the whole group. I'll just say that.
We were not all involved in the trauma.
I took care of the kid later, kind of.
Kind of. After
At least you didn't kidnap that one.
that one. So you read the note and everything?
Absolutely, I do.
You have this note, and as you unwrap the bundle, you would recognize the katana that's been passed down in your family for generations. The last person to have this was your father. It was given it by your grandfather, but he did not have it on him when he died. And you have that note. I'm going to give you a couple minutes with that note and kind of switch to the rest of the party. As Dao leaves and you have this moment without Dao, I'd like to know, like, if you guys stay in the library, like where you go, what happens until Dao comes back.
So I think Giger would probably take his book and kind of wander distractedly to the nearest spot to sit, which I think honestly from the library, I think he would go to the weapons room.
Okay.
That display room with like what he would know now as the Karuk and staff in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think he's just going to find a spot to sit and just kind of sit and observe the book.
Okay.
And try and figure out what he can do to poke and prod at it mentally, I guess.
This is an odd question for you. Are you meditating on this book?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to attune to it?
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. Would Giger like to attune to this book?
Here is Giger's intent.
Okay.
If the book would have him, he would serve it.
Okay.
So that is what he is. So if offered the opportunity, he would.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm just gonna double check a thing real quick.
I'm so excited for you.
So Zotkug is gonna be mad.
You'd have to
I get
spend
stressed
a
out when
short
things need to be
rest.
double checked.
Yeah.
Let me just make sure the max amount of damage this could give you, real quick. How many feet was that?
Who else dies?
How many
Weird
d6s?
I'm sorry. Say that again. What was the question?
No question.
Oh, no, we were just commenting on how it makes us all nervous when something has to be double checked.
Listen, I just want to make sure that I'm right. I will tell you, you are holding, because as you attune, you gain a general understanding of what this item is. You are holding a dream journal. It records your dreams for you, and its pages do not end. So as you dream, if you meditate on this book for like a minute, it will record your dream. It is not a patron, but it is a thing that you have now and are attuned to. So I think you get 3 attunement slots, and I'm not sure that your warlock weapon counts as one of them. We can deal with that later, and I'll double check that. But you are attuned to this as one of them. It takes about an hour for you to do that because it'll require a full short rest. What would the rest of you like to do?
After Dao has kind of like bustled his way out of the library, Dice just kind of like takes a moment to like take in probably the sheer amount of information that's been shoved everywhere. And Dice has not noticed how concerning Dao has become in their time together, and that worries Dice. And Dice has a thought like, have I been so self-centered that I haven't noticed what's been going on with Dao? And they feel guilt, I suppose is the best word, just guilty that they haven't stepped in to help sort any of this out beforehand. And kind of turns to the other two people in the room, Ando Mufuyu. I tried talking to Tika Ani, and he didn't get the message. I talked to Ipaki. He's gone now. The folks that did survive the last earthquake, they're rebuilding as the lady would like them to, and the way the lady does. I don't know how many of them there are. I could send more messages in tomorrow, but right now I'm more worried about Dao. How did we not notice that? And Dice kind of like trails off into their own thoughts as they look around the library at all the stuff he's been doing to it. I guess Dice will try to like, because one of the things Dal mentioned was what does Dice not see in this information? And Dice doesn't know what the information is in the first place. So Dice is because Dice has their own theory about what all this means, but obviously doesn't know a whole lot in general. So they're gonna look at what's been posted and then see if they can fill in the gaps with what they saw in Omnis potentially, because that's what Dice's working theory is about his father's note. But
Tika Ani's gone.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they aren't all gone.
I think they need to get out. It's just getting worse down there. Hopefully that was the last one.
Well, there hasn't been another one yet, so I think they'll be all right. But
the immensity of that weapon. God, if there was another out there like that. I'm glad it's gone.
Yeah. We did a good thing.
Well, I don't know how much time we have this morning, but I'd like to maybe go talk to Artemis, see if he knows anyone who would help me out with this book here. Maybe someone who knows a little bit more about what we're dealing with.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna stay here for a bit, but I'll try to catch you if I'm done before you leave.
And I think I'm going to try and take Hine to Smego to see maybe if seeing a familiar face in the city would help Yune, and potentially he could stay with her while we do our stuff.
Giger, do you have plans for the morning?
No.
Okay. Oh, you're not
Uh,
even there. Sorry, you're meditating.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Sorry, completely spaced that out. Your new journal. Um, yeah. Okay. So I think for the purposes of this, I'd like to start with this scene with Fiyune and Mafuyu, kind of like as your group separates. I'd like to kind of dive into the moment that you like rejoin with Fiyune and reinterface downstairs, because she kind of would have left and kind of just stayed in the dining room, just existing for a minute. But as you walk in, she looks up and says, "So, what is the plan from here?"
Well, I still kind of have to do stuff with the party, so I was wondering if maybe you'd like to go see Sumeko, since she set up a front here in the city. And I was hoping maybe that might make you feel better to see a familiar face, since, she's basically like family. And and from last I heard, she still has connections with Rattenwick, so she might be able to help you get back to the rest of our sisters, or have our sisters come over here.
Well, suppose Sumiko isn't the worst companion that we've had. Concerns me a little, but if that's what you think is best, then
Oh,
we
no,
will do.
I mean, it was just a thought. I really just want you to be comfortable, and what you wanted to do.
I think it'll be fine. We can go whenever you're ready.
Can I insight that? Like, is that true? Or
Yeah, make an insight check.
inside?
I'm so excited for this check.
Fish. Oh, don't let me down.
Oh, dang, dude. It's 26. Okay.
Thank God.
With a 26.
Ooh.
Which is a dang good check. A dang good check. First things first. Fiyune left the Yokia, the geisha house, not on good terms. Like, she was sold into slavery and eradicated. Sumiko was not involved with that, but you can tell that there's still a little bit of that was a past life and is not open to her anymore because it was taken from her whether she wanted it or not. And she was always like the fiery one that chafed against that superiority and that pressure. All of that was taken from her. And so there's a little bit of nervousness there, and that's where a lot of her hesitation comes from. Because Sumiko wasn't by any chance mean, but at the same time, like, that situation was not an easy one. And it's reopening a world that she thought was gone, and she's not sure how to deal with that. She is not opposed to it, but she's just tentative and doesn't know what the best course of action is. With a 26, she had resigned herself to that was her life, and so now she's granted with extra time.
Okay, so with that information, Mafuyu's gonna take her hand and say, let's just see her, and at any moment you feel uncomfortable, just tug on my sleeve and we'll go. We'll find some place where you feel comfortable, even if that's here. I mean, Satsuka, as you can tell, she's also a Hengyokai. If you want to just stay here and just be us, I mean, there might be times where I need to adventure, but I don't want to pressure you to come onto those, and it would be safer here. And I just want to make sure that you're safe, and I want to keep my promise of not ever letting you be put in that situation again. But I also do know that you love performing, and in the chance that since Sumiko was in the same environment that you were, it seems like she doesn't want to repeat that. She wants to change that for people who actually like performing, like us. So, how's that sound?
You watch kind of a change over her, and I'm not going to make you roll persuasion or anything like that because there were really, really, really solid arguments and really heartfelt speech. But you watch kind of like an understanding and a bit of a change happen in her. And she doesn't answer your question. She takes your sleeve and she just kind of gives you like this odd smile. She says, "You've changed quite a lot. That sounds nice." And she kind of just like chuckles to herself and does one of those like things where she like pulls her jaw in and like lowers her chin, and you can tell that she's like looking at herself from a different perspective and just like looking at the change in personalities between the two of you. Because like when you left, you were the youngest. Like they were all there protecting you, making sure that you didn't see the bad side of that Okia. And she was like the fiery one, always rubbing heads. And you've literally flipped positions to where you're in this defensive mode of her. And she would stand and take your sleeve, and she says, "That sounds nice. We can go whenever you're ready, I suppose."
Okay, well, let's go.
You all make your way outside into the morning. It's probably like noon, 1 o'clock now. You guys have spent a lot of time indoors today. Kind of down the winding streets over towards where you previously knew the Desire's Den. The home and storefront of the evil hag, Greta. My sweet love.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. R.I.P. To this new Okia that's been opened up there. And you see now that like where there was a sign like proclaiming the Desire's Den in this mystical font above the door, it now is listed as the Itsukushi Okia, which you would know means beautiful, and I can spell that for you, and my pronunciation is probably horrendous, and so I apologize in advance. But you push through the doors, which slide open, to see like the red satin curtains that you'd seen previously. We'd already gone through all of that with nice floors where you can tell that all that was there, all like the filth and years of just settling had been wiped clean. And you actually see a small desk where a woman in like white-ish like kimono style clothing is standing there with a full veil and a very delicate hood, wearing just like very, very plain makeup, kind of out of placeedly plain. And you see that she like is looking down at whatever she's doing and then looks up, and there's a moment of recognition in her eyes, and all you can see is like this slit. And she says, "Welcome. Is there something you needed this morning?" And you would recognize that it is Aoi.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Is Sumiko here?
She is. I can grab her for you if you'd like.
Yes, and I'm so glad that you work here now.
You can't tell, but she smiles and gives a bit of a nod. She says, "I do. I spoke with Artemis, and he believed that perhaps a place as this might be a bit better suited for me to lay low. Hence, this." And she kind of gives a bit of a bow. She says, "I'll grab Miss Sumiko, and I'll be right back."
Thank you.
For those of you that are new to the campaign, Aoi is the only elf woman that has been seen in this world thus far by this party, with just an extravagant level of beauty that she's attempting to cover up. And it makes sense to the party, but it doesn't make sense if you've not played this, because there's just no elves or half elves. But she disappears for a short while, and then you see Sumiko kind of glides in with just this beautiful red kimono, her ears like proudly displayed. And she says, "Welcome. It's good to see you back. I didn't expect you so soon. Aoi tells me that you wanted to see me.
Yes. So, you remember Fiune?
You see, there's a moment that like her attention was focused on you, and then it shifts, and she just like lights up just a little bit, and like immediately contains it, just to keep like a set level of decorum. But she says, "Of course, I am beyond thrilled to see you. I'm glad you're safe." Kind of like shifts her attention between the two of you. She says, "This
Well,
is new."
Yeah. We just came back from our journey and just figured that Fiune would like to see another familiar face. And also, mainly out of my curiosity as well, how everything was going with Takushi. And potentially if you heard anything from Rattenwick. I know you were saying that you were trying to look for more performers from town, and more specifically, our sisters.
She gives a bit of a coy smile. She says, "Yes, it is slow going, but we've had very generous patrons that have been more than kind. Come, let us, we'll make some tea, and we'll have a discussion." And she kind of just like pulls back and like gestures you guys inward past like a row of just like hanging curtains into what used to be the main sales floor of the Desires Den, which has now been broken up into like a couple of main hallways and like some side rooms, and pulls you into a private room where after a short while like Aoi comes and provides tea very, very formally and elegantly, and it's laid out for you, and you all are sipping your tea within the matter of like 5 minutes. There's this piping hot jasmine. um, she says, recruiting is a bit slow, but the clientele here seem to be far more receptive and understanding than we were used to. In Rattenwick, the situation was not the worst. Many look down on our kind, but it's not quite as much here. There's a certain exoticness that we get to hold above everyone else that's a bit nice and refreshing. Regarding Fiune, she's of course more than welcome. I would be more than happy to take her under my wing and train her. If, of course, she's willing. And you see Fiune kind of like looks to you and gives like a sheepish nod. Not quite comfortable, but warming up. And she's like cupping her tea in like two hands and having little sips. She says, of course, there's no debt that I would ask or anything of that nature. You're not being sold here. I would need to remove some of your earnings to begin with for clothing and attire. Nothing more than that. As long as that's fine with the both of you, I don't see any reason why she wouldn't be able to join. She would keep a quarter of her earnings to start. Half goes to the Okia to keep it running. The other half would go to her, or the quarter rather, would go towards her clothing and board costs. It is a generous offer. I don't mean to slight you. Just
I mean, correct me if I speak out of turn, Fiune. Is and there wouldn't be really. She'd be able to leave whenever. No debt, just performing, getting a wage.
it's a bit technical. To be upfront and frank, that is perfectly fine. She's not required to stay. But if her attire is not paid off, I would just likely take that back for the next person in need that would need it. Kimonos, as you know, are very expensive, and it just ensures that they're not given away. But once that is paid off, she's more than welcome to leave with her kimono, or if she'd like to continue to use our name to purchase them, then we can just provide more kimonos in the future, and with the same arrangement. But once she's paid it off, it is hers to keep. Or if she'd like to pass it down.
Understood. I mean, I can't make the decision for her, but would you mind giving us some time to think about it?
Of course, there's no rush at all. I don't mean to make you feel pressured at all. If you'd like to take a day or a week or a month, think about it. We have been blessed with very generous donors that have been more than kind, and I think we'll do quite well here.
Well, that is very great to hear, and it's very refreshing to hear that you did take, or you took, you're taking your word very seriously when you said that you really wanted this to be very different from the house that was in Rattenwick.
I do.
So I appreciate it.
And to that point, if you're interested, I would be more than willing to extend the same offer. I mean, you already clearly have a beautiful kimono and wouldn't need one to be provided by the Okia. So you're more than welcome to either take half the wages, or if you'd like to continue to increase your ownership of kimonos, you would take a quarter per the norm from each wage. The invitation is yours. Adventuring is a dangerous
Appreciate
hobby.
it, but I think my place is with my group of friends
Of course.
as an adventurer.
Of course. If that should change, I'm here. I don't mean to offend or make assumptions. Just an offer.
Not at all, but I appreciate it. And kind of looking for to Fiune, just like kind of like does, and kind of whispers like, "Does that sound okay? We can talk about it later." And just kind of get like her approval before kind of moving on to the topic of anything from our sisters.
She kind of like takes another sip and just kind of does one of these like really small nods. She just like whispers back, "That sounds fine. It's better than we had for sure."
So speaking of recruitment, have you heard anything about our sisters?
Yes. Unfortunately, right now they're fine. Not unfortunately in that way. Times are crazy right now. I understand. They are more needed in Rattenwick, but I hope in the future that we'll be able to send Geisha back and forth for a bit of variety. From what I understand, the Okia is being run quite a bit better than it was, even still with steady progress. With the increasing power and changes there, things are decent from what I understand. But your sisters represent a large part of the Okia's membership, and therefore it's a heavy loss for anyone to take, and I don't fault Mikasan for that.
Well, that's good to hear. At least they're doing well. I mean, yeah, thank you for that information. My main point was really to see if there was any openings for Fiune, to see if that was an option. But you must be very busy, so thank you so much for your hospitality, for taking Aoi in. How is she doing, by the way?
She does quite well. It's interesting. I've never had to, if you'll pardon the rude term, downgrade a person's appearance before. So that has been an adventure.
Oh, isn't she the most beautiful?
Oh, she is. And she's very nervous about her appearance. I feel like if we actually had her dance, she could make quite a fortune for the Okia, but I wouldn't force her to. And she's content, so she enjoys what she does.
Well, speaking for my party, since we've been through a lot with her, we really appreciate it.
It is our pleasure. And of course, I don't know if I expressed this, but we do, they're still somewhat in progress. but we do and will continue to have rooms for our geisha below in the basement. I've had most of what was down there cleared out, so there will be rooms available for those that stay.
Okay. I mean, would we be able to see that before we make any final agreements?
Of course, I don't expect you to rent a room without seeing it first. You'll have to forgive me, they're still a bit rudimentary. But if you'd like, once your tea is finished, we can absolutely take a small tour.
Mainly looking for Fiona's approval, because
You see she's like almost halfway done with the tea. She's just like been slowly drinking it the whole time while you've been doing all this talking. She's just like double fisting the teacup. And it is, to their credit, it's very, very fine, like aromatic tea. But you all, I'd imagine, like finish your tea for a moment. There's like a little bit of idle chit chat that happens just about life and your adventure, because Sumiko is very curious about like what happened. And she doesn't get into the details, but you guys get into like life on the road and what it's like being an adventurer. And after your tea is finished, she takes you downstairs, where previously you would remember what this was. This overladen basement with all sorts of accoutrement left over from this hag's years and decades here. That has all been cleaned out. So it's the stone steps have been overlaid with wood to make them more presentable. That leads down into a stone floor that is the original cobble. And then a sort of platform has been put up, almost like about like 4 or 5 inches high, that forms this hallway that goes the full length of it. And you can see that there's 3 rooms right now that have sliding shogi doors. And she slides one open, and she says, "This one is unoccupied now, and I apologize, they are sparsely furnished, but we have futons. Once the Okia has become more successful and you have more money, then I plan to furnish them a bit nicer. But they serve for now, and they're comfortable, if not sparse. You can tell there's nothing hanging on the walls. It's just like plain like rice paper walls. It's a situation where like you would hear your people around you. It's just an empty apartment room. Like there's a small closet that has like, you'd imagine it's like futons and like storage in there, but there's not much in there other than like the wood floor, which is a decent floor.
Gotcha. Okay. I think take that. Thank you so much for showing us around, and we'll sit on it. Obviously, just to make sure that Fiona's comfortable as well. But I really appreciate it. So I'm sure you're still busy with getting everything running. It is a business, so I do apologize for any inconvenience that my unwarranted stop has caused. But I'll be sure to send you an answer, even if it is by tomorrow, and maybe when Aoi comes to work, she might relay the message.
She kind of gives you a soft smile and she says, "Mifuyu, entertaining is our profession, and entertaining a friend is a joy. You're welcome anytime." And she kind of like guides you up and she says, "I do have things to attend to, but you're more than welcome to stop by anytime if it's to chit-chat or have a cup of tea. First one is free. After that, I will have to charge." And she kind of smiles, letting you know that it is half a joke, but like she can't just give you free tea at any time either. She says, "I hope you have a wonderful day, and if you do decide to join Anarchia, I look forward to it. And as I said, the offer is always open to you as well."
And I assume that there was kind of like a kind of greeting type of thing that the geisha house would be known for the most part, or like some symbolic thing that they're supposed to do at like the end of every performance or whatever. And so I think Mifuyu's gonna do like a polite like bow, a stylistic like bow and stuff that was reminiscent of the house. And then I would think that Fiona would do the same, and then they would kind of depart ways.
Okay. Sumiko would retort in kind, repeating the gesture back at you with a smile. And Aoi would kind of like watch from her perch where she sits and does a lot of like the entry work and things like that, entertaining. And you leave with Fiune in tow and a potential new opportunity. I'm going to switch it over to Ando. Ando, you wanted to go to the Adventures Hall to see Artemis.
Yes, I did.
You leave and make your way over towards the Adventures Hall, and you can see it's getting to be about 11 o'clock now. The lunch rush should be coming more. As you
Okay.
push open the doors, it's kind of quiet. There's a couple people like at a table in the corner. But the Adventures Hall is, as you remember it, there's the whole like L-shaped thing of tables and the secluded area in the back that you guys have had a number of meetings, and then the L-shaped bar where Artemis usually works, and then there's the new Heroes board on the back wall, kind of like towards the door, and that set of doors that is currently closed, where you know for a fact that there's rooms back there that he lets people stay when they have a need. You see Artemis is not at the bar right now. Just kind of quiet.
Okay. I guess I'll sit down for 5 minutes and see if anyone shows up.
Okay. You sit down and just kind of like take a look around. And a small point of note, the board of heroes where it has like the different tiles for the different adventuring parties that he's sponsoring and has about. Most of those parties have switched sides to the departed side. Or the true heroes that no longer adventure.
I'm gonna, I'll go stand up, get next to that board.
Yeah, there's 3 active parties right now, of which you are one and at the top. After a few moments, Artemis does come out from the back.
Do you have names on the other 2 parties? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I do. I will grab them for you, and I'll put them in the chat.
Cool.
Also, I like that. You have 2 other groups. One is the Tough Riders, and the other is the Storm. They're called. It doesn't give names on those groups. It's just their specific name, their party name, if you will.
Oh, Jim Morrison. Okay.
No, you don't get to know who's in each of them.
I don't know who's riders and who's on the Storm.
You know, it could be anybody. It could be everybody. It could be the whole town, and you wouldn't know.
All right.
So it's not riders on the storm?
No, it's not. Not this time.
Into this house, they're not born?
No.
It's the best D&D ever.
Okay. Point of order outside. Dice, did you explicitly say out loud that you were talking to Artemis when you did message within the mountain?
Yes, Dice would have mentioned that they were talking to Artemis when they did.
Okay. All right, so I guess I'll just, rub my fingers up against this board. Seeing there's only 3 left, just kind of counting as I go down. All the departed ones, and as I hear Artemis, I will turn around and face him, and I'll go up to his bar.
He kind of walks up and says, "Welcome. It's good to see you again. I was getting a little bit worried when it had been quite a while. I trust you're interested in the offer that I've put out."
I'm not one to delegate that information. I think we'll have to get together as a group, and I'm sure they'll be here eventually. So unfortunately, I'm not really here for that today. I was wondering if you can help me out with some information in the city.
Well, potentially. What are we looking for?
Well,
kind of leans forward.
I'm looking for someone who would know how to handle something of a magical nature.
Magical nature. I mean, there are a few in the government more inclined to that I'm sure could be of assistance. I know a little bit about the arcane myself. I would be more than happy to assist.
Well,
I mean, your party has rather a smattering of the arcanically inclined.
Well, okay. I'll be honest with you, Artemis. They suggested that I be very cautious with what I have, and you know what? I trust you, so I'll pull out this yellow book. And, it could just be a book. It might not be nothing, but I've seen what some books can do, and I just want to make sure before I start going on a path of knowledge I won't be able to come back from.
You see, he kind of like pulls the book from in front of you, kind of like slides it over and spins.
Well, this book used to belong to Greta. If I had to hazard a guess, it may be some of her personal writings.
I see. That is unique, I will say. You see, kind of like runs his fingers over the cover. Says, well, in my experience, a book can be a number of things. Either it is something like a journal or a published writing or a grimoire of sorts, containing spells and incantations. But there is only one way to find out what a book is. And he lifts the cover, and you can see a couple of different pictures. One is what looks like a family, and he like flips through them rather quickly. And he gets to the last page, and something sticks with you. Because as he flips it over, you could almost swear you hear the sound of chains. And what you see on this page is what looks like a demon that is bound with chains that lead off into what looks like a dark cave. And you immediately know that you've seen that demon before.
I'll put my finger right on that as he is paging through. And hey, I'm in the closet, and I'm not coming out. No, I'll be out in a second. So my mother-in-law's in town, and she just got in from the airport.
It's okay.
So I'm just trying to find a quiet place I can play D&D. So I'm in the closet. Yeah, but okay. So say, Artemis, thank you for opening this. It's been weighing heavy on me. I've had this for a long time. And, well, books haven't been so kind to one of our party members. Thank you.
I didn't do very much. He slams it shut, kind of like scoots it over towards you, and you watch as it leaves a red trail on the countertop as he slides it towards you. And that's where we'll end the session for the night, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew it was coming. You know how I like my spicy endings. So yeah, that'll be our session for tonight. We will pick up again next week. I don't think we have anything preventing play. And yeah, no, on the 3rd we should be good. We'll play 6 to 9, just like normal. Fantastic work, everybody. Thank you all for coming and listening in. And for those that have tuned in on the Twitch, thank you for joining us. We'll pick up again next week, right where we left off. And at some point, I will do my recaps. We have 34 sessions, plus potentially an extra 10 to cover, just because nuances of D&D. But I'll start working on those if people are interested. And yeah, this will be the format. So
Ooh.
we go ahead.
Stone Dogs out.
Stone Dogs out. And I will actually use our transition that I've worked so hard to make happen.
Thanks for watching.
But
I need
yeah,
to
thank
see
everybody
this.
for watching, and